Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. Welcome to our forum today. First of all, I would like to thank the audience for attending this forum discussion. Our topic is regarding Forex in the present of Islamic economy. Before we move further, I would like to introduce the panel for today. First, we have Miss Nur Azizah binti Muhammad Amin. Next, Miss Wan Nur Anis Nabilah binti Wan Muhammad Fauzilah. Next, Miss Nurul Balkis binti Osman. Next, Akilah binti Muhammad Sufi. Miss Hanisah binti Gafizat. Lastly, Miss Nur Akikin binti Mokhtar. I am Anisha Kira binti Shafi'i, your moderator for today. Without wasting any time, let us move to the topic. As we know, forex transaction is exchanging currency of one country with another country that only use one online platform and does not require physical transaction. The foreign exchange could give a positive or negative impact on the relative prices of domestic and international goods, which affecting the country economy growth, employment rate, and international goods and balance of payment and others. However, there are some arguments regarding this forex transaction according to Islamic view. So, Ms. Azizah, what do you think about this topic?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Shakira, for the question. In my opinion, I think that Forex is impermissible because of the nature of the contract. As we know, there are few types of Forex transaction, which are leverage, spot exchange, futures and forward contract, option, and also swap. The futures and forward contracts are the problematic one because it does not follow the principles of Microsoft. So that is my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Azizah. Miss Ansabila, do you think forex is executed according to Islamic principles?
Okay, thank you, Miss Anisha Kira. I agree with what Miss Aziza has said earlier. Forex is executed without following the Islamic principles. In my opinion, this is due to the fact that Forex are trading in margins together with leverage. The margin and leverage in trading hold a lot of issues in Islamic finance and a lot of reason as that being non-permissible. First and foremost, trading in margin together with the principle of leverage, which is when the exchange rate move in favorable direction. Then high leverage will cause high profits and vice versa. In other words, high risk followed by high income, but with small missteps in transaction, it will cost their entire deposit and any excessive loss would be liable to the trader as per agreement, and it might also more than the trader's deposit. Therefore, traders being in hazardous situation are undeniably margin considered as a bet, and a bet is equivalent to gambling, and gambling are prohibited in Islamic jurisprudence. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Miss Ansabila. Now, Miss Balkis, what do you think?
Thank you, Miss Anishakira. I think that trading forex is halal. If you treat trading as a business where you calculate your risk of investment with proper risk or reward expectation. Do not treat trading as gambling. Do not trade with swap account and make sure that you do not violate any Islamic religious law. So, as long as you follow the rules of Islamic laws or principle, there will be no problem with legal status of forex.
Thank you, Miss Balkis. Now, Miss Akilah, what is your take on this topic?
Thank you, Miss Anis Shakira. I also stick to my opinion that agrees with the prohibition of forex. My opinion will be focusing on the speculation in forex futures and forward contract. Speculators use this contract to bet on the future direction of currency pair. This activity arises due to the possibility of profit and loss. Islamic jurists believe that speculation in currency futures and forwards can be considered as zero-sum game due to the circumstances where one party lost and one party win. This situation is obviously illegal as it is similar to gamble, which is prohibited in Islam.
Okay, thank you, Miss Akilah. Now I would like to hear opinion from Miss Halisa.
Okay, thank you, Miss Shakira. For me, as long as there is no interest element and deals are concluded immediately with some logical reasoning to expect a likelihood of resulting a financial gain, I think that there is no clear reason why Islam must prohibit online forex trading. That's what I think.
Okay, thank you, Miss Hanisa. Now, Miss Ashikin, what do you think?
Okay, thank you, Miss Anis. So, I would like to add on something on what has Miss Aziza said just now. So, which is it is related to the buy alpha. In Forex, the trader did not intend to get the physical possession of the money that being exchanged, but for the profit, and no real possession existed in Forex trading. So this is contradicted with the term and condition in the ruling of buy or sell. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Miss Ashikin, for the opinion. So there are different opinion from the panel regarding this topic. Four of them agreed that forex is impermissible, while the other disagreed. It is okay. We will hear the explanation from them. Miss Aziza, I am interested in what you stated earlier regarding buy ourselves. Can you further explain what is that?
Okay, thank you, Miss Shakira. So buy Asaf is a contract for currency exchange trade where any currency exchange transaction, whether it involves gold, silver, or any monetary unit, should follow the Islamic principles of buy Asaf. There are certain approaches that should be taken into account to make sure that Forex is Sharia compliance under the concept of buy Asaf. One of them is the impermissibility of forward contract, as the exchange should be done on the spot. In the forward contract, the settlement is delayed in the future and the exchange rate is locked based on the interest rate differential between two currency. So this shows that it has breached the nature of Barasa.
Okay, thank you, Miss Aziza. Miss Ashikin, what do you think about forex based in the nature of buy alpha?
Okay, I am totally agree with what has Miss Aziza said. The futures and forward contracts are clearly breaching the principle of buy alpha. The main issue here is the delayed exchange of the currency. This is because it is involved riba. As we know, riba is one of the elements that cannot exist in the Islamic contracts along with gharar and maisir.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Ashikin. Miss Hanisa, do you agree with what Miss Aziza and Miss Ashikin state?
Sorry, but I have to disagree on that one. I do not see the problem with the forwards and the future contract. This is because the contract is executed with both party has mutual agree on the trade, include the price and the future date. Besides, there is no interest involved in this contract or even forex. So I did not see the existence of a riba here. If I can add, this contract can be very helpful for the participant because it can help to manage the exchange rate risk.
Okay, thank you, Miss Hanisa. Miss Akilah, do you want to add some more information?
Yes, I want to add some explanation regarding the existence of riba, which are currently discussed. In order to acknowledge the existence of riba, first we should understand the concept. Riba has two types, namely riba al-buyun and riba al-buyu. Riba al-buyu is related to debt, while the second one is related to the purchasing and selling of ribawi items. Let's focus on the second one. Because currency falls under the ribawi items, riba al-buyu are broken down into two more items, which are riba al-nasai and riba al-fadli. Riba al-fadli is selling or exchanging same kind of item with more or less quantity. Meanwhile, riba al-nasai refers to the exchange of two ribawi items and the exchange is done in the future and not immediately. So related to the discussion, futures and forward contract falls under the second item, which is riba and nasai, because the contracts are settled in the future. Uh, so clearly it is prohibited as it involves riba.
Okay, Miss Akilah, I understand now. Miss Ashikin, do you said earlier that your opinion is also valid to buy aircraft? Can you share more about that?
Okay, sure. So, Bank Negara Malaysia state that the conditions in the rulings of buy al-sarf includes three things. First, possession of the exchange currency needs to be in the physical form. The second, the ownership shall be taken by the buyer as the contract being exercised. The next is mutual receipt prior to physical parting of contracting parties as mean for no deferment happen during the transaction. And the last one is the contract is free from any conditional option to cancel. So as I mentioned earlier, there is no contract. There is a contradiction in the Forex application where Forex trader did not intend to get the physical possession of the money that being exchanged, but the profit and no real possession existed in the Forex trading. On top of that, these circumstances can be clearly spotted in the online forex trading, where the exchange of the currency was done only through the internet without even have the possession of the money that being exchanged. The conditions of transferring ownership also did not exist.
Mm, may I add some words to what Miss Ashikin has said?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, of course.
The trader intention, which is to make profit out of the money, makes it far from the initial principle of money in Islam, where it is forbidden to earn money from money, as money only acts as a medium of exchange and a unit for measurement, not as a commodity. Hence, if a trader wants to generate income using money, there should be intermediaries in between, such as place the money into real business activities to make extra money. The money would be acceptable as commodities in these circumstances, and the profit generated by the money being invested are permissible as long as the business activities also in line with Islamic jurisdiction.
Yes, this is also the case in CFD, which is contract for difference. A contract for difference is a contract between a buyer and a seller in which the buyer agrees to pay the seller the difference between the asset's current value and the contract's value at the time it signed. Traders and investors can profit from price swings by using CFDs instead of owning the underlying asset. The CFD investor never generally own the underlying asset; instead, the investor profit on the asset's price movement.
Okay, thank you, Miss Azizah and Miss Ashikin. Next, we have heard earlier about the speculation activity in Forex that caused it to be prohibited. Miss Anis Nabila, do you have anything to add on Miss Akilah's opinion about this?
Okay, so I totally agree with what Miss Akila said earlier. It is clear that there is gambling in the speculation activity. Gambling arises when there is a betting of valuable things with unnecessary risk between two parties in which the value exchange depends on uncertain event and elements of chance, in which the gain of one party is on the account of another's party loses. So there are few elements of Mysir that can be seen in the speculation activities, such as first, the elements of hope and luck. Second, the elements of betting. And third, the elements of taking the advantage. That's all.
Yes, true, Miss Anis. Not only it involves gambling, but there is also the existence of gharar. People, especially the professional speculator, forecast the future through the interpretation of information, which is conducted by gathering and analyzing related information. However, there are also many people that find it hard and impossible for the currency to be forecasted given the currency rate fluctuates randomly Therefore, they just enter the regulation trading without enough and enough information. And many people up. As I said earlier, the currency rate fluctuates, which then makes profit and losses to be volatile. This situation shows an example of gambling because of the existence of excessive risk and uncertainty. Speculation in future and forward contracts involve high risk, meaning it can bring high returns. However, there will also be the possibility of huge loss. For speculators who are not experts, there is a high chance that they will face losses compared to gains. Therefore, Gara is prohibited, and so is the Forex.
Thank you, Miss Anis Nabilah and Miss Akilah. Okay, now, Miss Balkis, earlier you mentioned about managing the risk or reward expectation. So, what do you think about Miss Akilah's opinion?
Okay, thank you, Miss Ani Shakira. In my opinion, Sharia law states an activity that creates wealth from a non-productive activity, which may be seen as gambling and forbidden. The notion of non-productive activity leaves a lot to interpretation. For forex trading, this can also hold. I believe that forex trading is halal because it requires a skill level to compete against other traders. It is like a sport. So the strategy, risk management like stop losses and approach are important factors for an individual success and profitability. Due to the significant influence of skill, investors can reduce the risk, which is garam. That's all
Mm,
from me.
my apologies for interrupting. Can I add some words to that, Miss Shakira?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I think that what Ms. Balkis has said before, what you explained only applied on the skilled investor. There are still a potential form of gambling and a gray area in Sharia law, where it depends on the skill level of the investor, in which the risk attached to forex trading may sway to haram activity.
Okay, thank you, Miss Aziza. Now, I want to ask Miss Anis Nabilah regarding what you mentioned earlier about trading in margin with leverage. Do you have more information to add on that?
Yes, I have something to add. Okay, thank you, Miss Anna Shakira. There will be a combination of two contracts, which is loan and sale together, which happen when the broker offered leverage to traders together with the contract of sale. According to Islamic jurisprudence, combination of contract is not permissible. There is a hadith reported by Malik which disapprove combining a loan contract and a sale contract, and also narration of the Prophet SAW stated that anyone who provides a loan should not stipulate anything on the debtor except its repayment. So combining contract of loan and sale would lead to stipulation on the debtor. In other words, derive any indirect or direct benefits from the debtor, which is prohibited. This is due to the fact as it falls under the usury elements. We know that usury elements are forbidden, so it strengthened my opinion that forex is illegal. That's all for me.
Okay, thank you, Miss Anis Nabilah. Okay, so we have heard explanation and argument from the panel. We have come close to the end of this forum. I want to ask each panel if they want to conclude their point.
So I'd like to go first. As a Muslim, we should try our best to follow the Sharia rules in whatever things that we do. So in dealing with this forex trade too, there are a lot of jurist opinions that stated it is haram to be implemented.
Yes, I agree with Miss Aziza. Every Muslims should make a very wise decision before deciding to do something, not only for this forex trading, but also in other things too. I think that's from me.
Okay, I want to add on something. As for me, it is fine to trade in Forex as long as you make a lot of research and follow the rules in Sharia law. You can make halal Forex trade without having to involve in the prohibited elements such as riba, garar, and maisir.
Okay, I'm also with Miss Alkis. Nowadays, there are many Islamic forex trading that can be executed by a Muslim. So I think that forex is legal if it done according to the Islamic ways.
As for me, I stand with my opinion, which is Forex is prohibited. As we have heard, there are few things that is contradicted with Islamic view.
So, lastly, from me, I also think that forex is forbidden because it is not easy to turn the conventional forex into Islamic because there are certain things that we cannot change. So, the only things that we can do is avoid this forex trade. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you for all the. So there are a lot of inputs that we can get from the panel. I hope the audience can understand and use the information wisely in order to make decisions in the future. I would like to thank you all the panel again for their time and hopefully we can meet again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Ani
Thank
Shakira.
you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Miss
Miss
Ani
Ani
Shakira.
Shakira.
You're welcome.
You mean?